Unusually, this year's early May bank holiday is being held next Friday to mark the 75th anniversary of the end of the Second World War in Europe. May the 8th, 1945 was dubbed VE Day for Victory in Europe and saw millions of people pour onto the streets to celebrate. Robert Hall has been looking back on that momentous day and why it's being commemorated.
Lüneburg Heath, Germany, May the 4th, 1945.
In a tattered tent near Hamburg, first steps in a complicated surrender.
General Admiral von Friedeberg will sign first.
7 clauses, and no mere scrap of paper.
Rumours of a European ceasefire had been widespread as Allied and Russian troops linked up along the Western Front.
We've both come a long way together, and we've done it together. What does that mean? Eh? What does that mean? I don't know.
Over the next 3 days, news of the surrender spread across the Channel. Crowds were on the streets long before the official announcement, swelled by a decision to call a national holiday. In Whitehall, Prime Minister Winston Churchill waited for his cue from the BBC.
General Jodl, the representative of the German High Command, and of Grand Admiral Dönitz, the designated head of the German state, signed the act of unconditional surrender of all German land, sea, and air forces in Europe. But let us not forget for a moment the toils and efforts that lie ahead.
Darker times that were still very real away from the cheering crowds in London. The Channel Islands, occupied by the Germans for 5 years, were still waiting for their liberation. And armies would be fighting and dying in the Far East for another 3 months. But that was for tomorrow. This was a parting of the clouds. And the memories of those wild hours help us to connect to VE Day as the generations who were there slip away from us.
And what we found with the First World War centenary, which of course was 6 years of work, is that actually young people responded to that element of family history. What the museum has to do really is to say that, you know, sort of what those people did, how they did it, how they responded to it, and we can do that through our archives.
Archive which captures nationwide celebrations stretching into the night. Even the Queen managed to slip away with her sister Margaret to join the party.
Throughout the land, the bells of victory rang out.
Robert Hall, BBC News.